Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Tron Legacy Lab. This is the 9th video. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been completing our Active Directory migration process. We have reached the step, as we all know, that there is certain steps to be done if you want to migrate or if you want to install the Active Directory migration tool. We have discussed in the previous videos the steps, so we have reached the step to install Active Directory migration tool. This is a program that you can download from Microsoft website, and then we have installed another program called password migration tool. This password migration tool will enable us to copy or migrate the Active Directory users passwords from the old domain to the new domain. To do this, or before set up this program, we need to create an encryption key. The encryption key will be used by the password migration tool to encrypt the connection between the old domain and the new domain, and then migrate the password safely without being hacked. So we have created an encryption key and use it with password migration tool to secure the migration of Active Directory users passwords from old domain to the new domain. And then we need to do another step to put the Active Directory migration account in administrators groups in each domain. For example, you will have, for example, an Active Directory user in the old domain called Active Directory migration, for example, and in the new domain you have another account in the new domain called Active Directory migration. These two users should be put in each other administrators group. So you need to go to the old domain and add the Active Directory migration user from the new domain in the administrators groups in the old domain, and you need to put the Active Directory migration user from the old domain in the administrators groups in the new domain. Okay, so both Active Directory migration users can have full control over each other's domain. Okay, so the process of the migration can be completed. And then we installed the password migration tool, and then we used the encryption key during the installation, and then we have started a service called password export server service. So after installing this program, a service will be added to the Windows services, something called password export server service. Okay, by the way, we will install this active password migration tool on the old domain, okay, only. Okay, after installing it, it will install a service called password export server service. We need it to be started, so we need to start this service so the password migration process can be completed, and this service will be started by an Active Directory user account from the new domain. So you need to have or to assign a user from the new domain and make it start this service. And actually, after making the trust between the two domains, you can select users from both domains from the search box in the Active Directory. Okay, so now after that, after starting this password export service, what we have done, we have created organizational unit structure of the old domain in the new domain. So you need to have your organizational units names and structure to be typically the same in the new domain. So the organizational units is not migrated using the Active Directory migration tool. You need to create them manually in the new domain. So we go to the new domain and create the same organizational units that are in the old domain. And then we have began the process of the migration. So we have migrated the groups, the Active Directory groups, then we have migrated the Active Directory users, and then after that you have stopped at the step of importing the group policies of the old domain to the new domain. So why we didn't go with migrating the computer accounts from the old domain to the new domain? Because we need, when we migrate the computer accounts, the users the group policies will be applied to them, so we cannot migrate the computers unless the group policies are already implemented and working, and also you will not migrate the computer accounts unless the department shares and the user home folders or user home directory or users Active Directory home folders are already there and working. So we will not migrate the computer accounts unless the group policies are imported first, and the department shares and the user and the Active Directory user home folders are implemented and also migrated. Okay, this will be done using PowerShell scripts. So here in this video we'll begin or we'll complete from where we have stopped the last time. So here we will go to the Active Directory, the new Active Directory in the new domain, and then we will open the Group Policy Management console. We will begin importing the old group policies from the old domain to the new domain. You know that I have already exported the group policies from the old domain, so now we will import them in the new domain. So we have now a folder named Tron domain group policies. We have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 group policies. 2 of them are already created by default, which is the default domain controllers policy and the default domain policy. So now we will create blank group policies, so we can have 7. This is advanced users group policy. This is the group policy that will enable and disable USB and DVD for certain users in the domain. And then we will begin creating the classic shell group policy for administrators or for IT. This will open different options in the classic shell program for the IT personnel only. And then we will create the classic shell policy limited. This will open certain options in the classic shell program for normal users. Okay, so this is classic shell policy limited. I've discussed this before in many videos, okay, in the Mass Effect lab and the DC Comics lab and the Marvel and DC United lab. Please refer to them. And the default domain policy, it is already created, so we will not create it again. We'll just import it from the old domain to the new domain. Then we have default users group policies. This group policy will disable USB and DVD for certain users. And then the mapping group policies, this will map the department shares to different personnel in my, or different groups in my Active Directory. For example, it will map the IT department share to the IT personnel as network map drive like L and M and so. And this is the group policy. This is a policy that will distribute the WSOS server name and IP to the workstations, so they can get their Windows updates from the WSOS server. Okay, so now we have created the 7 group policies. We need to import them one by one. Okay, I need here to make a certain note. The mapping policy, what is the mapping policy? Here we are mapping different department shares for different departments as network map drive like M and L. So we need to have something in this group. We need to make 2 things in this group. First, we need to modify it. So you need first to delete the old mapped drives from the old domain. So because we all remember that in the old domain we have already mapped drives for old department shares. So if the user is migrated from the old domain to the new domain, okay, or the user or the Windows user profiles and the computer profiles or the computer accounts are migrated from one domain to another, we need first to make sure that the old department shares are deleted. Okay, and then the new department shares are created, or the mapping of the new department shares are created. So in the mapping policy we will delete, or will tell him to delete the old mapped department shares. Okay, and then we will add a new entry to create or to map new department shares. So this is very critical, because when we migrate the Windows user profiles from one machine, or migrate the Windows user profile from the old domain to the new domain, the profile will contain the old mapped department shares. So we need to delete them and then create the new department shares. Do not be afraid, I will show you all when this comes, but take note for this. So now we'll begin importing. So now we'll import different policies. I think it is paused. No, it is there. We can pass it real quickly here. So now what we will do, now we will begin now importing step by step. We'll import the advanced users group policy from the folder that we have exported the group policies before. So we tell him next, and then we will import the group policy from the folder of Tron domain group policies in our D folder. Okay, Tron labs and then Tron domain group policy, and then we will import every group policy. Okay, here advanced group policy, so we will import it. Okay, and then finish, and then begin importing one by one. And take care when you are importing the default domain policy. I prefer that the default domain policy not to be imported but to be created manually step by step. Okay, because this differs from one domain to another. Okay, so you need to be very careful with this one. Okay, so we have a classic shell policy admin, and then we will import the classic shell policy limited. Next, then we begin importing one by one. And then you need to accept this message, tell him okay, and then this is also done for the default domain controller. It's saying you that the group policy templates are changed, so you need to tell him okay, accept this. It is in the sysvol folder now, and then we begin. As I said before, be very careful when importing the default domain policy. Okay, next, and then next, and then next, and then default domain policy, and then next, and then next, next. Because there is some differences, so he's telling us there is some errors, there is some users are not there, and there is some group policies that's not compatible with the new domain. So now we will import, and after importing all of the group policies, we need to modify the configuration to reflect the new domain. So we need to make every group policy applied to our new Active Directory groups. Okay, because actually importing the group policy doesn't mean that it imports the Active Directory groups that it will be applied to. You need to do this again. So now we are importing every group policy, and we need to tweak it or need to change the configuration according to our newly imported Active Directory groups, even though they are with the same name, but they are not imported. The group policy configurations are only imported, not the security filters or the security filter for every group, and not also the organizational units that these group policies will be applied to. Okay, so now we have done all this. We need to link every group policy to its respective organizational unit, so every group policy will be applied to a certain organizational unit and to a certain group in the Active Directory. Okay, so now advanced group policy will be applied to the programs organizational units, and the default users group policy will be applied to the same. Now the classic shell policy admin will be applied to the users organizational units. Default users group will be applied to the programs organizational units. Classic shell policy limited will be applied to the programs organizational unit, and then the WSOS group policy will be applied to the workstations or the group organizational unit that contains the workstations, and the mapping policy will be applied to all of the organizational units in the domain. Okay, so we can see here that the programs have 3 group policies applied to them. We need the mapping group also to be applied to the top level domain, or it will be applied to all of the organizational units. Now we need to remove the security filter authenticated users. Okay, and then we need to apply the advanced users group policy that will open USB and DVD to a certain Active Directory group. We need to apply it to our newly imported groups, okay, in our old domain, which here we apply it to a group called mcom-mf. This is our newly migrated Active Directory group, Ncom Advanced Users, and we need not to forget in the delegation to give the computers or the domain computers Active Directory group read permission on this group policy so it can be implemented. If we didn't do this, this group policy will not be applied. Okay, so now we put computers, okay, and then okay. Now we need to the classic shell admin, we leave everything as it is. We will go to the default. This is another group that will be USB and DVD will be closed to a certain or disabled to a certain Active Directory group, which will be called income default users. So we will disable USB and DVD to this Active Directory group, and then not forget to add the domain computers Active Directory group and give them read permission on this group policy. If you didn't do this, the group policy will not be applied, okay, to the group that you have assigned in the security filter. Okay, and then as for the mapping group policy, as I said before, we will tweak it a little bit. We need to do some changes in it. We need in the mapping group also to tell him to delete the old department shares or the old department mapped shares and create the new mapped department shares. Okay, we will see that in a moment. And we need also to modify or change the configuration of the user home or the Active Directory user home folders, okay, to reflect the new location. Okay, so you remember that our Active Directory home folders location, it is in it's now changed to a new domain, so we need to change the configuration to reflect the new domain. So we will use our script, okay, the same script that we have used before to create the user home directory folders. We just change the location of the server to our new domain controller, okay, and we will change the domain from incom.mf to our new domain, which is inc.grid.new. So this script will change or will modify the user home folder setting to reflect the new domain and the new domain controller. Okay, and we can see here that the same folder, identity disk, this is the folder that contains all of my Active Directory user home folders. So we need just to apply this to our Active Directory users, so their home directory folders are changed according to our new domain, and we need to give every user full control over his home folder. So by this script we will do this. So now we can see that it is already applied. I will show you all when you go to the Active Directory to the profile tab. You will see that the home folders location are changed to our new domain controller, and the permissions are also applied. So if you go, for example, to any user and see, for example, his profile tab, okay, we can see here that this is the new server and this is our new home directory folder. We have copied it from the old domain to the new domain, and we assigned or we have changed the permissions and changed the share location, okay, or the home folder location and the share of this home folder location. So now it is already working. So if the user is migrated and from the old domain to the new domain, he can now work with his user home folder directory without any problems. And now we will modify the department shares also, so when the user is migrated from the old domain to the new domain, he can see his user home directory folders and his department share folders. So this is very critical before migrating not the users, sorry, the computer accounts and the Windows user profiles on the workstations. We will see that in a moment, don't be in a hurry, but this is the first thing. We have already modified our user home directory folders, so now it is reflected and the permissions are working, or it is added. Now we need to work with the department shares, okay, so now we need to first share so we have our department shares or our department folders, we need to share them, okay, and give every group its permissions, okay, or to give every group permission on its folder. Okay, we have done this before, so we are repeating the same process here. We are telling him that we have 3 folders and we need our 3 department folders. We need certain groups to access these certain folders. For example, programs folders will be shared, and the group called mcom/mf programs in the Active Directory, we have full control over it, or I think change on it. So we'll have a folder. This folder is for a certain group, and this group will have change permission or SMB change permission on it. Okay, so this is what we'll do. Just a moment here. So here we can see that we need just only to change the domain. Okay, so here this is the 3 department folders, and they will be shared to certain groups in the Active Directory, and they will have certain permissions on it, and we will give the IT full control over these folders, and we need to remove every one Active Directory group from the SMB share permissions. For some reason this script didn't work because I wasn't an administrator, or I didn't run this program as administrator. Okay, so I need to take care because this didn't work with me, but here I am modifying the permissions. So now we are changing the permissions. So now we need to apply it, and after applying it the shares will be added and it will be working. Anyway, I need to first of all, this is the logs, or this is the department shares. Okay, we have the folders, and we need to apply the SMB share permissions and the Ntfs share permissions on them. So when the user is migrated, or when the user is logging into the new domain, he can see his department shares and user home directory folders. Now we can see if I try to apply this script, okay, it will have some problems. It's saying that it can't find the domain. This is a permission issue. You need to run this script as an administrator. It will not work. So here we can see that there is a problem, but I will pass it real quickly because I tried a lot of things, so I don't need to bother you all with it. So what we will do here, I need to okay, so here I will make it manually. So we can see also that I can't share it. There is some reason I can't share, or I can't open the SMB share permissions. Anyway, so what we will do here, just make it a little bit here. So now we will open the logs. Okay, and I think I will share here the permissions. Just a moment. So still there is a problem. Just a moment. So here what I will do here, I will restart the server because there is a problem with applying the SMB share permissions. So, and I am logging in this domain with the administrator accounts. So I need to log in this new domain with my domain admin account. So I log in with this username. Okay, so here I will make it, or give a password, and then restart the server and log in with this user account. Then will we restart the server. Okay, what I will do here again, just a moment. I need to make sure that this username is already in the administrators group. Here we can see that I am already here. This user is already here in the administrators group. I don't need it because I am already a member of the mcom/mf users, which is the IT group. So he will restart the server. I think what I am doing here, I'm going to the old domain controller. I don't know what I am doing here, but let's say that I am already logging in here, and I am making sure that I am already an administrator. This is also done already, so we can pass it. And as for the password, okay, service, it is already running. So this is the password service is already running. So we have already we have already finished the migration of the users and the passwords already. so we don't need it. Now I am restarting the new domain controller, and I need to log in with my here we can see something here, guys. Just a moment. Here we can see that our you can see that our group policies are applied. This is our new domain controller, and after importing the group policies, we can see here that the message or the welcome message it is applied, and most of our group policies are applied. Now I will log in the new domain or on the new domain controller in the new domain with my domain account or domain admin account. I just already done this. Why so? Because I was suspecting that the SMB share permissions was not applied because there was something with the permissions. Okay, so I restarted the server and worked with another account which is already a domain admin, which is already in the group of the administrators. Okay, so I think we can do here. Anyway, and at the end I didn't succeed in working with the SMB share permissions, so what I did, I have already shared the folders or the department shares manually. Here we can see that the background is not applied, and the screensaver and the lock screen, we need to change the default domain policy, okay, to tell him to get the background, the screensaver and the lock screen from our background folder. Here we can see, for example, also another problem here, that other thing we can see. I need to show you all this. Here we can see that, for example, you need to take care, because what I have done here, again, just a moment. No, again, we can see that the department shares, okay, we can see here that our user home directory or active directory home folder, it is appearing, but the two department shares are not appearing. They are mapped, but this is mapped to the old location in the old domain. So this will be a problem if a user is migrated. For example, this is my user, I have migrated it from the old domain to the new domain, but still he sees the old department mapped shares, because the map policy or the mapped share group policy needed to be modified. Okay, so we need to tell him first to delete the old mapped department shares and map the new department shares, because two things, we need to first delete the old ones and then create the new ones. Okay, so just a moment, guys. Here I need to stop it for a moment. So let's continue, guys. Here now we need to modify the default domain policy to make the background appear and the screensaver and the lock screen. Now I am just copying my different consoles and everything from my administrator profile to my profile. Okay, so I'll go to administrator and the desktop, and I need to get the custom console that we have done. And then as for the SMB share permissions script, it didn't work, so I will so what I will do, I will share the folders manually myself. Here I'm copying what is on the administrator desktop and put it on my new profile. So here what I'm doing here, I'm preparing myself, so if I migrate the computer accounts and the Windows user profiles from the old domain to the new domain, the shares, the department shares or the mapped department shares will appear correctly, and the active directory home folders will appear. Here we can see that the active directory home folder appeared already, but still we have a problem with the mapped department shares. You need to, before logging in with the user, you need to take care of the mapped network drives. You need to make sure that they are already deleted. So here what we'll go and I will go and first here I am trying to use the same script, or I need to work with the same script, SMB share permissions, but it didn't work. So what I will do here, I will try to map the department shares manually myself, or the department shares will be mapped manually. So this is not also the step. So here what we will do, here what I have did, just a moment. So here I think I did something here. Okay, so this is the Ntfs share permissions. So when I didn't succeed in working with the SMB share permissions, I tried to implement the Ntfs share permissions and it was succeeded. So let's continue here. I am trying to implement the Ntfs share permissions because I failed to make the SMB share permissions. Anyway, I need to make the department shares, okay, work perfectly. So the department shares have two kinds of permissions, the Ntfs share permission and the SMB share permissions. So here I think no, we need to pass it also. Here I just need to do all of this. So here what I will do, here I go to the department shares or the folders and begin sharing them manually by myself. Okay, so here I will share the folders one by one. This is the department share, so I will share every folder to a certain group, okay, and give it certain permissions. So here for example the global folder, I will have everyone to have full control on it and the IT to have full control on it, the income MF user. So now what I'm doing here, I am sharing the department folders and giving them SMB share permissions manually, not by script, and assign every group certain permissions. So this is done, and then after sharing them we need to go to the mapping group policy and map them, okay, to the users. Okay, so the shares, it's already there, but we need to map them according to the mapping group policy. So now I am sharing every folder, and I am doing this manually. Okay, so every folder will be shared to a certain Active Directory group, okay, and they are given certain permissions. For example, this group will be given change permission over, or SMB share permission change over this folder, and the IT group will have full control. So we can see here that for example the IT have full control and this group will have change on this folder. So we are sharing the folders, okay, because the script of the SMB is not working. Properties, and then so this is why, so the user, when his profile is migrated from the old domain to the new domain, he can see his department shares and Active Directory home folders. So now we are giving every group its certain permissions. Okay, so this is the folder of the IT, so they have full control over the folder, and these are the SMB share permissions. We need to apply now the Ntfs share permissions. The same groups will be given the same permissions, but in the Ntfs part, or the Ntfs share Ntfs permissions. Okay, so now we will go and then we will go to the Ntfs share permissions and or the script of the Ntfs and apply it, and then we will check and see if both SMB share permissions and Ntfs share permissions are upright. Please refer to my previous labs and previous videos so you can know how you can share a folder and give it certain permissions to certain groups. So now we can see, for example, if we open the folders, we will see that every folder will be shared and given certain permissions. For example, here the global folder in the security tab, we can see that here certain groups are given certain permissions. Okay, so here I am just making sure that the folder or the permissions are correct. I have missing a little bit of a group, so I am adding it manually. But now we have our department shares are shared and the permissions are configured. We need to go to the mapping group policy and map them to every user in a specific department. So the department share will be mapped to the IT personnel as a mapped drive, and for example the HR folder will be mapped to the HR personnel as a mapped drive. Now we will change the default domain policy to tell him to apply a certain background screensaver and lock screen to every Active Directory user, and we need just to make sure that it is pointing to the correct folder to get its background picture and lock screen picture and screensaver program. We have also copied the backgrounds and screensavers and everything from the old domain to the new domain. So just what we will do, we will just modify the location so the background will work from the new new location in the new domain. So here we will change for specific lock screen. Here we'll change just the server name from the old domain controller to the new domain controller. They are in the same folder with the same name, but the server name is changed. And now this is for the lock screen. As for the background and the screensaver, we will change it in a moment. And then we need to go to personalize and then enable the screensaver. We need to tell him to get a specific screensaver, and also we need to change the server to be 2. This is our new domain controller server name, HTSS WinOS S02, and then this specific theme, okay, Windows theme, also it is on our new location. And then we need to have a specific background, desktop wallpaper, and this also changed. So we are basically preparing our environment for the Active Directory users. So every Active Directory user should see his new department shares, new home directory folders, new backgrounds and screensavers. Okay, so now we will go to the mapping policy. We need, as I said before, the mapping policy to tell him to delete the old mapped drive from the old domain and create the new mapped drive in our new domain. Okay, so here we need to, what we will do to the mapped drives, just a moment here, we need to tell him, okay, this is the old mapped drives. We need to tell him, instead of create action, to delete it. Okay, so the user, when he logs in or after migrating his profile from the old domain to the new domain and begin logging in, first thing the group policy will do, it will delete the old mapped drive because it will be taken during the migration process. It will delete them first and then create the new mapped drives for the new mapped for the new department shares. Okay, so we need to tell him to delete, make all of them delete, okay, and then make another 3, so we'll have 6. We make another new 3 department mapped entries to reflect the new location of the department shares. Okay, so this is my step. We need to tell him to delete the 3 and then copy the 3 and change them to reflect the new location of the new department shared folders. Okay, but here I forgot to do this, so what I will do here, I am changing the location of the mapped drives. Okay, and then we need to also reflect, because it is in the old domain, so we need to map them to the new group in the new domain. So mcom-mf users, this will be mapped to the IT group. So we need to change the mapped drive policy. Okay, but I said before, we need to not only to create the new mapped drives, but to delete the old mapped drives from the old domain. Okay, so this will be a problem. Okay, so here I'm just choosing or modifying my mapping policy. So we are preparing ourselves, or preparing so the users. Sorry guys, because I have my laptop shut down suddenly. We will begin continuing our lab. Here we are just modifying or we are telling the group policy to map our new department shares as mapped drive and delete the old department chairs and their mapped drives. Okay, so we will continue. So we're just modifying the permissions. Okay, and then apply and OK. And then here we are just modifying the locations of the department shared folders from our old domain to our new domain. So when we migrate the Windows profiles from every workstation, it will be correct. It can see the department shares and user home directory folders. Okay. Now I think now it is already finished, but let me see here. Okay, so now what we have done, we have already finished the department shares. Now we will restart the server to see how the backgrounds, screensavers and everything will be applied. Here I'm just checking the permissions of the folders. We can see here that this is the Ntfs permissions. Okay, I'm just modifying something here. After that we will restart the server to see everything applied, but from here we can see that because I have already the old department shares already mapped, so when I try to implement the new group policy or the new mapping policy to apply the new mapped drives, it didn't work because I need first to delete the old department shares. Okay, so I'm just playing with the permissions. Now we can restart the server and begin seeing our different things. Okay, so here we have already modified the mapped or the mapping policy to reflect the new department shares. We need to restart the server. It is suggested that when I log into the second time that I can see my department shares, but this will not be the case because the old department shares is still there. I need to disconnect the old mapped drives and so I can implement the new mapped drives. Okay, I will show you all this when I log in. So now if I am logging in with my new user, I need, when I log in, I need to see my department or the new department shares of the IT and the new mapped drives for the new IT department share. But this will not be the case because I still have the old department shares mapped. I need to disconnect them and create or the mapped drive to be created for my new department share. Okay, so we can see here, just a moment. First of all, we can see here that the background, it is applied. Okay, but we can see here still that the department shares of the old department or of the old domain, it is there. Here we can see that the screensaver or the backgrounds are there and everything are there, but still I have a problem with the mapped drives. Okay, still this is for the old domain, okay, and the old location. They should be replaced with the new mapped drive. Okay, the new mapped drives from our shared or our newly shared department folders. Okay, so they will not appear unless I disconnect them. Okay, so here what I'm doing, I'll go to the mapping policy. Okay, and here I will try to copy. Okay, we'll make a new one. You need to copy every one of the three and tell him to delete. Okay, but you need to delete the old one. You need to tell him the old location and delete this mapped drive for the old location. Okay, so we can see here, just a moment. Here what we will do, we need to tell him to delete. No, but I need to but here, first of all, as I said before, need to make him to delete, okay, every one. Okay, so you can delete, let me show you all. So I tell him, for example, I copied one of the mapped drives, and then I will go and change the location to reflect the old one and tell him to delete this one. Okay, so this you need to do, and you need to tell him to delete. But here he is with the old group, so I need to make everything as it is. So I need to get the old mapped group policy and tell him to delete the mapped drive of this group policy. Okay, so now we will see this. Anyway, so this is, we need to tell him to delete. Okay, so now I am telling him to delete the old department share in the old domain. Okay, and here you can choose the domain as you like. Anyway, so just pass it real quickly. So now this is the old department share, and here I need him to tell him to delete it. Okay, so now I can delete. I need to delete the old one. There is two O's, one the new one and the old one, so I need to tell him to delete the old one. Okay, so I tell him to delete. Okay, we need to tell him to delete. Okay, so need to delete the old one. Okay, so now we will delete this one, and we need to repeat the process for every one of the three. Okay, so we need to go there. Okay, just a moment. Here we go again. So here this will be the final result. What we will do, we will delete the old department share, mapped department share, and this is the new one, and then we will delete the old department share, and this is the new one, and then we delete the old department share, and this is the new. But this didn't succeed also, because when I restarted, okay, and begin, so let's continue now. We will begin again. When I restarted and try to log in again, what I will see here, I will still see the same department shares. So you can go there, they are still here, even though I tell him to delete it in the group policy, but still it is there. So I will tell him to disconnect it, okay, and try to restart and see if the new department shares are applied. Okay, but still there is a problem. Here I will restart. I tell him gp/update. Okay, so I can map the new network map drives, but still this didn't work. So what I will do, I need to restart. Just a moment. So here I am typing. So here what I'm telling you, or here I'm telling you that you need to first, okay, here what I'm typing, during the migration before mapping to new shares, you should make mapping rules to delete the old shares first. Okay, so before mapping the new shares, you should make mapping rules to delete the old shares first. I didn't make this, so there is a mistake. So this is what I'm telling him. I did a mistake not to delete them before making new shares, so this is my mistake. Okay, so here this was a problem. Anyway, so I made another restart to see if I can see the department shares, but actually I didn't succeed. So here now what I am doing here, I am installing the file server role on our new domain controller, so I can begin applying Quota on my Quota and file screening on my department shares and my Active Directory home folders. Okay, so now what you will do, you will open this is the logs. Okay, so here we will just open the okay, I'm just revising the permissions, but this is not the case. Okay, so here what we will do, we will begin installing the file server role. Okay, and then we will begin applying uh, different quotas. Okay, so here we file server resource manager, and then add features, and then next, and then we will apply our file quota to our department shares and our Active Directory home folders. So I think this is the mapping policy. I don't need to see it again, but here I'm just playing with it, so it is not the case anyway. So now we have again we have our file server finished. Okay, sorry, so we have our file server resource manager console finished. We will add it to our console. Okay, and then we will begin applying different quotas and file screening. Okay, we will add it, then okay. And then we'll begin applying different quotas. Okay, so I need just to get Bart auto a little quickly here, so just a moment. So here what we will do, he will begin applying the quota. So we will apply a quota to the user home directory or Active Directory home folders. So we will give every user a 2 GB of space as a home folder directory in the Active Directory, or as a Active Directory home folder. Okay, and then we will give every department share 5 GB or so. This is 2, but I will change it later. And then we can pass it, and again we will apply, again, then we will apply, no, see here we can go again. This is the identity disk. Okay, and then just a moment, again. So here we'll create another quota for the department shares. Sorry. So here as you can see that we have made on the logs or the department shares, we will have 10 GB as a quota, and we will have for the home department folders, we will have 2 GB of space for them. And then we'll make file screening. Okay, so now we have created our department shares, our user or Active Directory home folders. We have applied certain quotas to them. We have file screening done to them. Now we are blocking on the department shares audio and video, and we will block also audio and video on the user home directory folders. So this will be the last in the video. In the upcoming video we'll begin migrating the computer or Active Directory computer objects and the Windows user profiles of our workstations in our domain for every user. Okay, I will show you all this step, but this is the last that we will do in this video. So I think this is the last of it anyway, so we will pass it. I think here I'm just, I think I am seeing the department shares, sign out. Anyway, I will show you all a little bit of a step here. I tried to log in with another user. I am not logging with my user account. I will log in with another user account. Okay, you will see that this is my user, my department shares are not appearing. But if I am logging with another user or another Active Directory user, which will be for example Sam Flem, I will log in now. Okay, with his password or his username, you can see that the department shares will appear. So let's get a moment here. So if I log in with Sam Flynn account, you remember that I didn't see the department shares or the new department shares and their mapped drives in with my Karim account. But if I logged in with Sam Flynn account, you can see that department shares will appear. I will show you all a little bit of a moment here, just a moment. So I think we can pass it real quickly. So if I open, here we can see that the department shares, okay, the new department shares are appearing on the opposite of my user. This is the quotas and the department shares and the user or Active Directory home folder. All of these are appearing for the new profile. As for my old profile or my user Karim user profile, because my map network drives policy was applied first, so this was the issue. Okay, so take care to delete first the mapped drives or the old map drives and then create the new mapped drives. Okay, so this was it. Okay, so this is the end of the video. Hope this was informative for you all. We'll begin migrating the Active Directory computers, objects and Windows user profiles for every workstation in the upcoming video. Hope this was informative for you all, and would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.